Hey folks, welcome to our Leader Feeder podcast. It's great to have you here listening and watching along with us. Before we get started on today's topic, I wanted to take a moment to highlight our Plant Manager Excellence Program. It's a new program that we've been developing with a couple of clients, and we're actually doing a public workshop version where you can bring one or two plant managers from your different facilities to come join us, and you can certainly visit uniquedevelopment.com to learn more about that. It's a great opportunity for your plant managers to get some of that great training that we've been providing to frontline leaders for many, many years, but at the plant manager level. So a bit of a different scope, bit of a different focus. So my name is Kirk Langford. I'm the general manager here at Unique Training and Development and Frontline Leadership Systems. And we're here with Leader Feeder, which is all about sharing, practical tips, strategies, and ideas about leadership, especially focused on frontline leadership in manufacturing. So let's get started. Today, I want to talk a little bit about how to use one-on-ones and the benefit of using one-on-ones to keep your team engaged and motivated. So we work with a lot of different clients, and over the last little while, we've been asking, do you have one-on-ones with the people on your team? And the most common answer tends to be no. We do have a few outliers, I would say, that do have them regularly. And then there's a few as well that would say, I've had a couple here and there, or I'll have a one-on-one when something comes up, but it's not really part of our day-to-day. It's not part of our schedule. And so I think there's a lot of missed opportunity there in terms of having one-on-ones with your team. And there's also a lot of reasons they don't happen. I think there's a lot of fear about, what are we going to talk about in a one-on-one? Or aren't one-on-ones just supposed to be when we're having a problem or when someone's in trouble and we need to address it? But there's a lot of benefit from having regular and proactive one-on-ones that I want to talk a little bit about today. So I think the first thing about it is that it's such a great way to build trust and a good relationship, not just with new people on your team, but really with everybody on your team. There are certain things that somebody might not say in a team meeting or just on the floor, as it were. And if they have a chance to sit with you as the leader one-on-one in a private area, for example, where they know other people aren't necessarily going to hear, and they can express their opinions and their ideas and their suggestions in that private setting, it's going to be better received. So the first part is just getting to know your people better and building that trust. One of the things that, if you've seen a lot of our videos before, or if you've been through our training, that we talk a lot about is how getting to know your people, getting to know what makes them tick, is really the most powerful tool in your tool belt to motivate them. Because if we assume that in order to motivate, I'm going to use the same things that motivate me, which might be a promotion, or maybe it's a salary increase, or maybe it's new challenging assignments. Well, just because those motivate me, it doesn't mean they motivate everybody else on my team. Everyone's motivated by different things in different ways and at different intensities or amounts. And so by taking the time to do one-on-ones, you get to know the people on your team. And getting to know them means you know more about what makes them tick, what motivates them, why they're still there, and how to keep them engaged. So there's an information piece, there's a learning piece about them. But then there's also a trust building piece, someone who takes time to say, hey, I want to hear about what obstacles you're facing. I want to hear what you're enjoying about the job. I want to hear something you've learned recently that you're proud of. I want to celebrate what you've done recently. Taking the time to do that builds trust and respect. Now, granted, if you're new to this and you haven't done it before, and you're watching this video or listening to this recording and you're thinking, hey, that sounds like a cool idea. That's something I'd like to try. I know that it might feel a little bit strange at first. So if you sit down for your first one-on-one, there might be some skepticism on behalf of the person with whom you're doing the one-on-one, right? They might be a little bit like, what's going on? Am I in trouble? And you're going, no, you're not in trouble. Well, why are we having a meeting then? Hey, I just want to chat. I just want to understand how I can help you as your manager and how I can best support you. For sure, that will raise some eyebrows and raise some alarm bells for some people who are conditioned to think that a meeting, especially a one-on-one with their manager, inevitably means they've done something wrong. So you're going to have to combat that a bit. And really, I think the best way to combat that is to help them understand that you want to get to know the team better. You want to keep the people on the team engaged. You want to help motivate the team and make sure that everybody's sort of rowing in the same direction, and that you're doing this to ensure those things are happening. And you feel that by having one-on-ones more frequently, that's going to be achieved, right? The other part, though, is consistency. If you give this a shot and you do one-on-one, and you say, yeah, we're going to do these regularly, and then you only ever do them once. First of all, that's going to not build trust. It's going to do the opposite because you said you were going to have them regularly and you didn't. But second of all, it's going to take them from this becoming a normal thing, and the people on your team just start to expect it and go, yeah, this is great. We have regular one-on-ones. Maybe it's every couple weeks, maybe it's once a month, maybe it's every quarter. Whatever the rhythm is, doesn't really matter as long as they're consistent. But instead, it's going to go from that, which is a good thing, to, yeah, we did it that one time and then it never happened again. So I think building in consistency is going to be a really important component of normalizing this process and not making it feel like, their alarm bells are going off when you tell them you want to have a one-on-one. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to consistency is that, hey, I know you get busy. There's fires to put out sometimes. There's unexpected things that get in the way. You might have one scheduled, a couple weeks in advance, and then the time comes to have that one-on-one and that person's away, or again, you're dealing with putting out a fire. It's still better to have a short one-on-one if you can. A 10-minute one-on-one or a 5-minute one-on-one even is better than nothing at all. Now, 5 minutes is probably a little bit short, but 10 to 15 minutes is way better than nothing. So if I have one every month or every 2 months with the people on my team, I'd rather still have a 10-minute one rather than cancel it, because now it's going to be 2 or 3 or 4 months before I have another one. So try to aim for keeping it on the schedule, even if it's going to be short, rather than canceling it or not having it at all. So we've talked a little bit about the benefit. We know that it builds motivation, it builds engagement, it can help you understand your team better, which again helps you motivate them. We've talked about why it's important to do them consistently, and that it's better to have a short one rather than one not at all and just canceling it. But then you might be thinking, so what do I actually talk about in these meetings? Because we certainly don't want it to be, hey, so everything's going good? Yeah, things are going good. Okay, cool. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. That's not going to get us very far. We need to do a little bit more than that. So what does this look like? What do these meetings look like? Well, you want to start by doing a little bit of small talk for sure. Hey, how are things going? How was your weekend? How are the kids? Great. I wanted to check in with you, see what I can do as your manager to help remove obstacles and understand the challenges that you're facing, and also see how we can work together to keep things moving forward and keep improving things. So you're going to be pretty honest, right? Be transparent about what the objective is. So you might ask them a question like, what obstacles are you currently facing in the work that you do? What challenges are you encountering? I'm going to do my best as your manager to remove some of those obstacles, to remove some of those frustrations as much as I can. So the more you can tell me about what you're struggling with, the more I can help, right? And you want to think about it really from two aspects. You want to think about the work that they're doing, but you also want to think about the person that they are. So in the work that they're doing, is there something as part of a process or a system that is getting in the way, that's an obstacle, and it's making it hard to get the work done? So what can you do in that regard? But from the person side, are you noticing that maybe they're getting bored with the work? They've been on the same line for too long, and maybe there's time or an opportunity for some cross-training or some new experiences or a way to challenge them to keep them engaged. So you want to think about the work that they do and kind of the machines that they operate or the products that they make. But you also want to think about that person and are they engaged? Are they motivated? So ask about challenges and frustrations. You might ask about what's something you're proud of recently? What's an accomplishment that you've achieved that you would like me to know about as your manager? You try to have eyes and ears on the floor and know what's going on, but you can't be everywhere all at once. And so letting them talk about something that they're proud of can give you further insight into what sorts of things they're interested in, what sort of challenges and projects they want to be part of the most. And depending on how much flexibility you have as their manager, you can then maybe, pull some strings to make sure that they're on assignments that they enjoy or appreciate more, within reason, of course. So you could ask them questions like that, certainly about, what they're enjoying at work, what they're proud of, an accomplishment, and you can ask them about frustrations or obstacles that they're facing. You can also ask a bit more, some general questions as well. How are you liking the work? How are things going in general? But I actually think that the more you can ask a couple of targeted questions, the better. And typically once you start by those sort of open-ended questions, like I said, open-ended but targeted. So, what obstacles or frustrations are you dealing with right now? And, what's something you're proud of, or what's something you've been working hard at recently, right? Those are going to be good questions that send you off in a direction, and you can then ask follow-up questions about that. And you'll probably find pretty quickly that 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 minutes can go by quite quickly when you have those conversations. Here at Unique, we're not in manufacturing, although we work with a lot of manufacturing clients, of course. I have monthly check-ins with most of my team, and it's surprising how quickly even 45 minutes or an hour can go by once we get talking about what they're working on, what they're proud of, what challenges they're facing, what's a new skill that they want to learn, and how can I support that? And of course, a little bit of small talk, because you want to get to know them better and understand, what makes them tick and what they're excited about, and a bit about their personal lives as well, if they're willing to share that. So you'll find that time goes by pretty quickly. And it can go from feeling kind of nervous about having these as the manager and thinking, well, what am I going to talk about? And is it going to fall flat? To actually going, oh gosh, I almost wish we had a little bit more time. But here's the thing. I think one of the powerful things about one-on-ones is not so much the time. It doesn't matter that they're an hour or whatever, or 45 minutes. What matters is that they happen. So a 20-minute solid check-in, a solid one-on-one, is way better than just not having one because you're a little bit skeptical or unsure of what to talk about. So if you get through those couple of questions and you get to the end and it's only been 20 minutes, that's okay. Say, hey, I appreciate the time. I know 20 minutes is a big chunk of your day when you're trying to get work done. So I really appreciate you taking this 20 minutes to set aside with me. And let's plan to do one next month as well. And make sure you probably get that on the calendar so that it happens. So there you have what you would include in that meeting, what you talk about, right? I think the last thing is talking a little bit about how frequent should they be. I'll admit this is a bit of a tough question for me to answer because it's going to depend on your cycle. It's going to depend on, how many people you have on your team. If you have 20 people that report to you, you're probably not going to have daily check-ins because that's just not reasonable. You probably won't even have daily one-on-one or weekly one-on-ones. So you're going to find the cadence that's right for what you can handle and still get your work done as the manager or as the leader, but also what's right for your team. You're going to have some people that prefer every 2 weeks or every week maybe, especially if they're new. I would recommend probably weekly check-ins. If they're a more veteran or seasoned person on your team, they might say, listen, once a month is okay for me. It's a good enough frequency that I still get a chance to have some FaceTime with you, but I'm not feeling as though we're taking important time away from getting the work done. So it's a conversation you want to have with them, with what you can fit into your schedule and what's reasonable, but also what they're looking for in terms of support. So for some of you listening, you might think that every 6 weeks is reasonable. For some, it might be every month. I would aim for no less than every 6 weeks, maybe every 2 months at the very least. But so you might think about quarterly. I feel like quarterly is almost too far away. Where 3 months, a lot can happen in that time, and so doing quarterly might be a little bit too far of a stretch. So maybe aim for monthly or every 6 weeks, and then adjust accordingly. As you have different people on your team, they're going to have different needs, and you want to be able to meet those needs in terms of how much face time they need with you. All right, so we've talked about the benefit of one-on-ones with your teammates. We've talked about some questions you can ask or what the content of that meeting looks like. And we've talked about the frequency or the cadence. Keep in mind it's going to be different for everybody. But what I want to encourage you to do is to reflect on your own team right now. Do you have one-on-ones regularly? And if so, how do they go? Could you tweak the questions to make them more effective and more meaningful, both for the team member in the meeting, but also for you, that you're gleaning more information from those meetings? If you don't have one-on-ones regularly, I'd encourage you to think about it. And I would really encourage you to start exploring that. Everything in leadership, we're just doing one big experiment. We're trying stuff out. So don't be afraid to try these one-on-ones, and they might not land really well the first time. There might be some awkwardness or some hesitation, like I said, but stick with it. Try it out. Adjust the questions, adjust the cadence, adjust the time of the meetings, and see what sticks. Because I can almost guarantee you that even though you'll have to play around a little bit and experiment, there's almost no downside to having regular one-on-ones on your team. It's going to build the trust on your team. It's going to help you motivate the team. It's going to help them feel more engaged. And really, those are good things all around. If you're doing those, and we would love to hear what your thoughts are. So if you've done them already, we'd love to hear some of your feedback. So feel free to comment or send us a message. And if you haven't done them and you start doing them, thanks to this episode, we would love to hear your feedback. So you can reply to on our YouTube, comment on our YouTube video. You can reach out to us on social media, or you can simply email us. You can visit our website at uniquedevelopment.com, and you can find our contact info there. And if you're thinking about, a bit of leadership development for your team, maybe one-on-ones is part of something you want to focus on, we're here for you and we've got you covered. We do lots of other content beyond just effective one-on-ones, but that is certainly something we do. So you can reach out to us, like I said, uniquedevelopment.com. We hope to hear from you soon. And until then, take care.